Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we are going to get hard at work on this plain accent wall here that faces my two-story family room. In that room, it's almost complete, guys, so stay tuned for that transformation. I'm so excited about it. But in that room I'm going for glam modern vibes, and this large wall that faces that room just wasn't doing the room justice, so I needed to do something, and we are going to get started with moving stuff now. I initially thought to wallpaper the space, but I wanted to do something that was on a budget, and a lot of you guys have reached out to me about what are my wall stenciling techniques. So I promise you guys another tutorial video that's going more in depth than my last one, and here it is. I decided to go ahead and stencil this wall. It was a lot cheaper. I paid about $50 for my stencil from cuttingedgestencils.com. This is not sponsored. I wish it was, but I just go there for all of my stenciling projects, and they have not failed me yet. They have tons of designs to choose from, so check them out. I'll leave a link down to the website in the description box. But for now, we're just going to clear off this space and we're going to get into the tutorial. Before anyone says anything, yes, I was in the middle of a stair railing project. I know that the handrail has not been stained yet, but it is now, and it looks amazing, I promise. Okay guys, here you see me about to remove the outlet cover. I did go with mirrored covers on this accent wall because, again, it does face the family room, and that's where I put the mirrored accent light switch covers, and I just love them in there. But I needed to remove it just so that I can get around the electrical outlet as close as possible, so that when I replace the cover, it'll look like it's going all the way through the wall, and you can't see where it has stopped around the outlet cover. So I went ahead and took it off. I don't go anywhere without my pink toolkit. My parents bought this for me years ago from Target, and I just love it. It has all the essentials that I need in there. So that is what you see me doing right now. Okay, and also, as you saw, I used some blue painter's tape just to cover the actual switches because I didn't want to get paint on those. And now what you see me doing is using my handy dandy tape measure that was also included in my pink toolkit to measure the entire width of the wall, because I wanted to start in the center of the wall so that it doesn't look like only one side of the wall has been cut off with the design. It'll make more sense once you get to the end and you see what I mean, but I like to start my stencils in the center of the wall. So that's what you see me doing. I'm just taking a measurement so I can find the center point of the wall. Okay, and here is the stencil pattern that I chose. Again, I love it. I believe this is called the all over trellis pattern. Don't quote me on that. I'll leave a link to it down below in the description box. But again, it was around that $50 mark. Sometimes they run specials. You can use a coupon code. I think I did during the time that I ordered this, but I absolutely love this design. I feel like it's classic, and I don't feel like it'll go out of style anytime soon. So I think I'm safe to leave it here for years to come. And here I'm just going to use my level and a pen and a pair of scissors just to shave off any excess empty space on the stencil that I didn't want at the top of my stencil. I wanted to get my stencil as close to the ceiling as possible, so I went ahead and off camera trimmed a little bit off, and now I'm just making sure that my trimming was even. This step is definitely optional. It depends on which type of stencil you use and how close you actually want it to the top of your wall. But again, for me, this was my personal preference, but this step is optional. And next I'm going to put the stencil where I marked the center of the wall. You see me using the blue painter's tape just because I've found over the years that that's the safest thing for me to use. It doesn't remove the existing paint that is on the wall. I will give you a tip and say that you don't want to stencil on freshly painted walls. You want to wait at least like 72 hours or so for the paint to like dry and cure. But in my case, you know, we painted these walls months ago, so it's okay, but I still use the painter's tape just to be safe. I don't want to have to go behind after I've stenciled and have to put the base color back on the wall. So that's what you see me doing, just using 2 long strips of painter's tape. Now throughout the process you will have to replace these 2 strips because they do lose their stickiness, but that's no problem at all. Okay, here is where the fun begins. It is time to get to it, you guys. It's time to start with the painting process. So I am using just craft metallic silver paint for my project, but you can use whatever type of craft paint or whatever type of finish you want. I'm just shaking it very well, and I'm also going to go in with something and stir it up. I think I used like a plastic knife or something like that because I didn't have a paint stick on hand that was small enough to fit in the jar. I will say that I used about 2.5 of this size jar for my project, but depending on how large your surface is, you may need more or less paint. So again, you want to shake and stir very well, get the color where it needs to be, and then I am using a paper or plastic plate, either one. I'm using paper towels. This is very, very important to my technique. So I have about 3 paper towels and I've just folded them the long way, and I'm also going to use a 4-inch foam roller. That works perfect for these types of projects. You want to make sure it's a foam roller and not a regular roller because you don't want the lint and all that stuff getting on your stencil. So just make sure that you have these 3 essential materials because it's going to make your life so much easier when you are stenciling. Okay, so let's talk technique now. This is very, very important. As you can see, I am not loading a lot of paint onto my roller, just a bit, and then I do multiple strokes on the paper towel. This is important because it's going to take the majority of the paint off of the roller, which is what you want. You don't want a lot of paint on the roller because if you have too much on there, it's going to seep underneath your stencil and it's going to smear and smudge and it's going to be a mess. So you want to make sure the roller is evenly coated but that it has very little paint on it. And the next step is just to get to it, guys. Just go ahead and start with small, slow strokes of painting your stencil. Be sure not to bear down. Don't put too much pressure because again, you don't want the paint that is on the roller to seep underneath the stencil. You want it to just go on top of the stencil and leave the pattern on the wall, but you don't want it to smear, so just be careful with the amount of pressure that you're putting on. This part can be tedious depending on how large of a surface you have. Trust me guys, I know. I suggest you put on some good music and just vibe out to it, but it's so rewarding when you finish. I promise you will be happy you did it. And now for the moment of truth, you're going to remove the stencil from the painter's tape and you should have a beautiful pattern on your wall. Now the craft paint, you have so little paint on your roller that you don't have to let it dry 100% before you start on the next pattern. You just go ahead and make sure that it's lined up properly, reapply the tape, and you can repeat the same process. Sweet concussion. And so here is an up close and personal view of the technique. Again, little to no paint on the roller. Go over the same spot multiple times until it's evenly coated and you will be fine. This technique is tried and true. I do it all the time and it comes out almost perfect every single time. Okay, and by now you get the technique, you understand what's going on, so you just want to repeat these steps until the surface of your wall is completely covered in the design. Okay, in this next step you see me going in with a small craft paintbrush just to clean up any imperfections that you may come across. Some people do this with a small stenciling brush, but I've never used one of those. I've always used just a small craft brush that I get from Michael's, or you can get them from Walmart or Target, anywhere like that. But yeah, you just want to go in and clean up any lines that need cleaning up. And having this craft brush will also come in handy when you are trying to bring the stencil all the way to the ceiling and also down towards the baseboards. And here is the final reveal, you guys. You can decorate it any way you like. That's the last step in the process. I chose to blow up some family prints and turn them black and white. I replaced my table and then just decorated it temporarily. It may not stay like this, but this is how I decided to leave it right now. So let me know down below in the comments what you think, and thanks so much for watching, guys.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly.